Hey YouTube, Rubicon1018 here with our first video featuring Predecessor gameplay, something I'm super excited to share with you. So without any further ado, let's get into it. The closed alpha of Predecessor is in its third week, and there are some major changes this time around. If you are new to Predecessor and are looking for an overview of the game, check out my Intro to Predecessor video linked below to learn more about the game. This week, we saw some major structural map changes, so let's get into them. The first change is in the jungle, which has been totally renovated, with 3 additional river buffs and 2 powerful jungle buffs added to each team's side. Depending on your champion and your starting path, these buffs can add some major sustain to keep you in the jungle longer, or give you the fighting edge when ganking lanes, or even when you're counter jungling your opponent. The red buff is one of the strongest of this patch. It's easily clearable at level 1. This buff, when killed, adds a damage over time effect to anything hit by your primary attack, along with a movement speed slow. Picking this buff up right before a gank can make the difference in whether your prey escapes or you net first blood. Here you can see I pick up the red buff and head to my solo laner to gank his opponent. With the red buff in hand, combined with Chimera's gank-centric kit, we make easy work of the enemy Saravok. One of my favorites this patch is the blue buff, something that I often start with depending on which lane I want to gank first. The blue buff adds cooldown reduction and mana regeneration on both basic attacks and abilities, which makes clearing the jungle with full mana an easy task. I often start with this buff if I want to make a strong level 3 or level 4 gank with full health and mana, something Chimera can easily do when you combine the blue buff with the natural health regeneration of his E ability. Adding even more diversity to the jungle are the incredibly potent river buffs. These buffs spawn in the middle of the river on both sides of the middle lanes and are easy to kill for any player, not only the jungler. The orange buff adds a strong damage over time effect to the opponent when you apply 3 separate damaging attacks to the target. This can be incredibly strong when paired with the red buff, or when your middle lane wants to have the edge over the opponent when trading blows. The pink and gray buff are relatively straightforward. The pink adds bonus ability damage for a brief period of time, while the gray buff adds bonus movement speed. Both of these buffs are very strong, as they can mean the difference in escaping a deadly gank or securing the kill right before the opponent makes it under their tower. The green buff, when killed, gives a shield to your champion that scales with level. This buff is incredibly effective for anyone that picks it up, enhancing your ability to trade blows with your laner or clear your jungle with a higher amount of health. All of the river buffs apply a brief mana regeneration when killed, so mid laners who are burning through mana, keep an eye out for these river buffs, as they could swing the lane in your favor. Just watch out for the enemy jungler. These jungle buffs add a ton of diversity to routing for junglers, and give them options to focus upon. Blue buff helps you stay in the jungle forever, and can quickly clear camps while spamming abilities. Picking up red buff while having a gray buff is a deadly combo that few champions can avoid. One of my favorite strategies is to grab the red buff and immediately run into my strong side enemy jungle to steal their blue buff. If I run into the enemy jungler, I have a red buff giving me the fighting edge, but most times the enemy has started their red buff and only come in to see that their blue buff had been stolen. There's a new item focused upon the jungle this week called Flame. It's an item with attack speed and health, along with a new active ability to instantly deal true damage to a minion or jungle monster. This can be incredibly important when it comes to securing buffs or important objectives like Fangtooth or Orb Prime. Outside of the jungle, there are numerous quality of life changes as well. Lane minions when aggroed by a champion will now properly de-aggro when disengaged instead of chasing you all the way back to your tower. Finally. This means we can finally harass opponents in lane without calling down the army upon us. Melee attacks feel a lot smoother, and locked-on abilities like Chimera's leap attack are seamless when woven into the rest of his abilities. Last hitting with a melee champion won't feel like such a task thanks to these changes. Last but not least, draft dodging has plagued the alpha thus far, and thank you to Omeda for acknowledging it so quickly. Repeated draft dodging or abandoning matches will result in penalties or the revoking of the alpha key. So quit dodging and play the game. So that about does it for the major changes this week in Predecessor. You can see the official changelog all linked right below in the comment section. Also, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you want to see more content, let me know in the comment section. Also, check out my stream at Twitch, Rubicon 1018. We stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we'll be playing a lot of Predecessor if they're open again this next week. Thank you for sticking around, and we'll see you next time.